Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Very special Coach's Corner and store right now. We're here at Orange High School. It is Media Day, and I'm here with one of my best friends, as well as one of my favorite athletic directors, Mr. Tim Porter. Tim, you and I have known each other for a long time. You're the reason we are here. You brought us up here because of what we did together at the Mahoning Valley. For you, the change of scenery didn't change the man you were. You've been in this business a long time, and you've done it for the kids, the right reasons. Talk to me about how you get involved into being an athletic director.
Boy, I'll tell you what. I can't even figure it out, honestly. I started out originally out of business college from YSU.
Yeah.
I worked in marketing for 15 years of my life, including working in the steel industry. Unfortunately, when the recession hit back in, I think it was 2011 or 2008, I can't remember. I went back to school and earned a second degree. My wife kept telling me, look, you're coaching girls basketball. You should have been a teacher the first time around. So I went back, became a teacher. No intentions of ever being an athletic director. Did my student teaching at Mineral Ridge, and when I interviewed at Mineral Ridge for a full-time job, the superintendent came to me and said, Tim, you can have the job under one condition. You need to be the athletic director. Well, of course, I need the position, so yeah, well, I'll do it. And that's how I kind of started. And then once I started doing it, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side of things, I've had a lot of people through the years tell me, well, you're only going to last like 2 or 3 years. The job is
The burnout?
not. Yeah, the burnout.
Yeah.
And plus you had young kids, and back then my sons weren't even in junior high yet.
Oh, wow.
So I kind of forged through it, and eventually I decided to go back to school, get a master's in athletic administration, and that kind of carried me up to here. And from that point on, it's always been trying to do better and better and better. So that's kind of been my motto, so to speak.
Well, it's kind of crazy because when you're an athletic director, really when you're a teacher or a lot of things, you're kind of running your own race, so
Right.
to speak. And you ran a completely different race than anybody else, and it was evident from the first time I met you because you're doing websites, you're doing next level stuff that basically professionals and colleges are doing for their players, but you're doing for your school and all your student athletes. Why was that so important to you, and kind of how did you look in your crystal ball and see ahead to the future and what things were going to be like?
So a couple of things, going back to my days of coaching, I always wanted to make it special for my girls because I always coach girls basketball. And I always went the extra mile for those kids. And when I first started coaching, it was at a small Catholic school in the south side of Youngstown at Byzantine Catholic Central, which no longer exists. They paid me $500 a year to coach. So honestly, it wasn't worth the money.
Right.
However, all that money I made, I always put it back into the kids.
Yep.
So I was always doing things. I wanted to make it special for the kids, not just teaching them the game of basketball, but enjoying what the game can bring to you. And it means like taking trips down to Columbus. We would take our girls to an Ohio State game, stuff like that. That kind of transitioned into my athletic director and seeing how we can promote our kids better, things that we can do to make our kids stand out.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of started. And since then, you're constantly, I don't want to say reinventing the wheel, but you're always looking for new ways, new avenues. I just came back from the state conference last week. I have plenty of new ideas, not so much for my kids, but ideas with our athletic department to how to make our programs even better. But at the same time, you still want to promote those kids. And that's one of the things I love. I love seeing the kids' faces. You did a couple interviews already today. I think I caught Nina Deshpande's interview.
Yeah.
And I can see her face, like it's glowing, stuff
Yep.
like that. And that's important to me.
Yeah.
That tells me I'm succeeding.
So in this world that we live in, I think you and I are running that same kind of race that we're trying to continue to be edgy, continue to be push the envelope and make sure that everything done is done right and done well for the
Right.
people that we intended for. There's a lot of pushback because nobody as much as they talk about change, nobody likes change. Talk about the adversity that you faced in changing. What you don't have to say schools, you don't have to say coaches, but from a standpoint of your intentions are pure, they're so good, but you're always met with, but this is the way we've always done it. How did you overcome that?
I'll tell you what, there's a lot of it you got to really keep pushing.
Yeah.
It depends on the topic. Let's just say that. I will say this, coming up here to Orange and being in the Cleveland market, it's night and day compared to the Mahoning Valley. And it's not that I have anything bad about the Mahoning Valley.
Sure.
I still love home. I still live there.
Sure.
So I make the commute every day.
Crazy.
But I will tell you, I have had those roadblocks. But when you start breaking down those walls and you start seeing the success, I've noticed even here at Orange, more and more people like, yeah, Tim knows what he's doing. We're not going to bother him. But it just takes that perseverance, that, constantly nagging, just keep plugging away, especially if you know what you're trying to do is right. Yeah. And that's what we do, and that's what I have to do. But I don't listen to the distractors. I really don't. And nor do I care. Because you know what? I'm here for me,
Yep.
And my kids here at Orange now. Even when I was at Ridge, I was there for my kids at Mineral Ridge.
Yep.
But that's just the way I am. So
I think with all the great things that you do as an athletic director, the thing that I appreciate and love about you most is the person you are at home. Dad and husband. And I'm always so impressed because people don't realize when you're in athletics, now you and I have very similar schedules because we start very early and we work very late.
yes.
Almost 2 jobs from that standpoint,
Yes.
right? Most people work either 9 to 5 or 3 to 11.
Yes.
We're working both those shifts with 2 different lives going on, and somehow you're able to juggle it, still be an awesome dad. We've seen it go along, and obviously a loving husband. So from that standpoint, do you feel like you're in the circus sometimes, just juggling?
Yeah.
How do you manage?
It takes a lot.
Yeah.
First of all, I got to thank my wife. She's, the rock like no other. She's there, supports me in everything that I do. I was fortunate enough when I took this job at Orange, and granted, being 60 miles away, it was my son's senior year. So they were kind of coming to the end of their road, so to speak. And this Orange, and I compliment Orange for everything they've done for me, but they really worked well with me that senior year for them, so I could go back and see my kids in their senior nights and stuff like that. And it worked out great. Well, now my kids are in college. Now I do have one playing golf at Youngstown State, so I've been able to see him from time to time when they play close enough here in Ohio. But on the flip side, I'm at the point now where, okay, I see my wife, the boys are gone to school, I'm bored. So guess what? I'm going to be working these events. And I like doing that. And part of the other things I do, and I don't know if you ever noticed, but I bring a camera to the games.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there taking pictures.
Yep.
We show that to our community. The kids love it.
Yep.
It's amazing when I come to these games and you're going to have the girls basketball team. Some of them will say, hey, Mr. Porter, you got your camera tonight. It'll be there. I'll be taking the pictures,
Yep.
that type of stuff. So it keeps me busy. In fact, my wife and I just had this conversation last night. She said, Tim, if you weren't this busy, you'd be bored at home. And she's absolutely right. Because if I'm, I guarantee Thanksgiving, other than hosting a dinner for my family, once the family leaves, I'm going to be bored. I got to be doing stuff.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, I'm constantly going, which scares me whenever I retire. What am I going to do?
I've got an idea. Okay, I got to ask this question. I hate that it's the last one, but I want to ask it.
Yeah.
The eye-opening experience from going and everybody knows that we pinch pennies very well in the Mahoning Valley.
Yes.
Across the board. You go from very small budgets, not just in Mineral Ridge,
Right.
but everywhere you look, to basically you come in here and they say, what can you do for us? How can you help us set ourselves apart? What was the biggest eye-opening experience between Mineral Ridge or that life, so to speak, and the life that you live now here at Orange?
So there's a couple things. I would think, first of all, when I first came here was the amount of sports.
Yeah.
And not just at a high school level, all the way down to the junior high level. Almost every sport that we offer here, you have a junior high program. Very few don't. Wow. So, you just interviewed the swimming kids. Those kids were on a junior high swim team.
They were talking about that, and it didn't click.
Right. So, nothing against the Mahoning Valley, but you don't see that down there. No. Here we have junior high baseball, junior high softball. All right. I've never heard of that. There's only a few teams that we don't have that junior high program for. But generally speaking, that kind of blew my mind. So you have that presence. The second thing I would say is the rec department. I'm not used to working with a school district that has its own recreation department that starts with the youth kids, and that's kind of a big deal. And having my coaches not only work with the junior high coaches, but also work with the rec department,
Yep.
that's kind of our goal or mission here at Orange High School. So that's kind of a big deal. So that was one of the big things. The second thing was because you have that amount of sports, and we also have some of our sports that require some unique facilities, like we have a swimming pool for the swim team. Your budget obviously expands.
A little bit.
And there's a lot more, I don't want to say headaches, but a lot more details that you got to go through.
Yep.
Right now I'm dealing some issues with the swimming pool that we're trying to fix and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And none of these things are cheap.
No.
They are very pricey. It is what it is. But that's really where the change was. I mean, it was kind of eye-opening on that, but at the same time, I wouldn't give it up for the world. This is what it's supposed to be. I'm just hoping someday I get to see a state championship or something.
Oh, Mama,
You know.
I can only imagine those rings, how big those would be.
You know what? I hope. I mean, not to take anything away from our other teams. I know our Orange tennis teams had some great
Yeah.
years. In fact, we should have a really good boys tennis team again this year. But yeah, I look forward to seeing this, what this could be someday. You're going to be interviewing our boys basketball coach. I'm excited to see about him.
Yep.
You met LaShawn last year. LaShawn is a phenomenal coach,
Yep.
played in the WNBA.
Yep.
But, having all those things, I mean, that's kind of neat. I love having that. It's
That's
like,
awesome.
you just met Wally.
Yeah.
Wally coached
Oh.
since 1967.
My gosh.
I mean, think about it. Just a few years after Kennedy was assassinated, that's when he started coaching.
That's what he's talking about. He's talking about playing Kennedy, and I was like, what? What? Like, I could have talked to him for hours.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough to be able to be here, hear the stories, see the kids, and just be here in Cleveland. You're the one that got us here. We can't thank you enough, man. Thank you so
we're
much.
happy to have you. We love having YSN up here, and believe me, my coaches and kids love it too. So,
Awesome.
And Chica can't wait to start broadcasting games again.
That's a kid after my heart, Chica. Tim Porter, ladies and gentlemen, of Orange High School.